You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 56, The Language of the Future. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hey, welcome back to another episode. Thank you for being here today. How are your zombie cells doing? I hope it's worth it to you to be aware of them so that you can decrease their quantities and ability to destroy your health over time. It really does make a huge difference to keep your senescent cell quantity as low as possible. And remember, it's kind of a vicious cycle, so you just need to make a few smart decisions that will interrupt that cycle and change everything. Today, we're going to talk about the language of the future that you need to learn. No Duolingo app required. Yesterday was my husband and my 20th anniversary. The China anniversary. That's kind of lame, right? The description says that China is supposed to be representative of the delicateness of your relationship. We made it 20 years. It feels like we're past the delicate stage, whenever that was. 19th anniversary is bronze. That seems a little more resilient, but 8th anniversary is also bronze? Who decides this stuff? My favorite was 16, which was wax. So romantic. Anyhow, what I was going to say is that for our anniversary celebration, we're going to Ireland, and I discovered that you can learn Irish Gaelic on Duolingo. I'm not attempting to try it, but it's an option. There's also Scottish Gaelic, Xhosa, which is spelled with an X and involves clicks and is spoken in South Africa. There's Zulu, Maori, Haitian Creole, and a couple of Mayan languages from Central America. Pretty cool. But we're not talking about any of those today. A few weeks ago, we had my 12-year-old Kipland tell us about our call to adventure. At the same time, back then, I asked him a few questions about his obsession with speed cubing. We didn't really plan it out ahead of time, so I wasn't prepared with questions. And he wanted to go eat lunch first, but I made him tell me a little bit about his speed cubing first. He got a special Rubik's Cube, like at least a couple of years ago, that you can turn more quickly. It has magnets in it. Anyway, he played with it very rarely. But then a few months ago, he got obsessed with it, and he watched these videos over and over and practiced, and now he can solve it ridiculously fast. He said he forgot to say that a lot of the procedure he follows has to do with the rhythm and the feel and the sound of the cube. Sometimes I would see him practicing with his eyes closed, which seems like it wouldn't work well for a Rubik's Cube, but it does. He's a goofy one. So here's what he had to say. All right, welcome back to the podcast, Kip.
Okay.
It's been a few weeks, but really it's only been like 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about algorithms. So one day you disappeared in the basement and you kept watching something on YouTube, right? And I don't remember, I think you hadn't eaten all day or something, and I was trying to get you to eat lunch, but what you were doing was learning what? Do you remember?
Algorithms.
An algorithm for...
Yeah. For a Rubik's Cube.
A Rubik's Cube. So how to solve a Rubik's Cube, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what made you decide you wanted to learn this algorithm?
It was a faster way to accomplish a goal on it.
Okay. All right. So you have your little cube with you.
Yes.
So it's not a regular Rubik's Cube. It's a speed cube, right?
Yeah, it does the same thing, though.
Right.
It just turns faster.
It turns faster. It's not like the Rubik's Cube I had when I was little that...
It's the same basic concept.
Right. Mine was black and it had stickers. So you could pull the stickers off. I even had one that I got from a box of checks. Well, I think I had to have several boxes of checks, and then I sent in a thing in the mail. And I had a checks one, and so it had like all wheat checks on one side and all rice checks on one side. That was my Rubik's Cube. Okay. So, can you tell us, how long did it take you to learn the algorithm to the point where you had it memorized and you could solve your cube?
One algorithm or all of them?
Well, to the point where you could solve the whole cube.
Probably 3 or 4 days.
Oh, okay. I just know you kept watching the thing on YouTube and I was trying to get you to eat lunch or something and you kept watching it. Okay, so it took you 3 or 4 days. And how long does it take you, if someone gave you a completely messed up Rubik's Cube, how long would it take you to solve it?
With those algorithms, probably around a minute.
Oh.
But I learned some new ones.
Oh, okay. So now, I know you were timing yourself. How long does it take you to solve one?
My fastest is 28 seconds.
28 seconds to solve a completely messed up Rubik's Cube.
Yes.
Okay. And you're messing with it right now. I don't know if they can hear. In our house, we hear a lot of Rubik's Cube messing around with, right?
Yeah.
Like even during movies, and it has to get taken away. Okay, so can most people in the world solve a Rubik's Cube in 28 seconds?
No.
No.
A lot of people can, but not most people.
Yeah, definitely not most people. What would most people think about being like if they gave you a messed up Rubik's Cube and you could solve it in 28 seconds, what would they think?
I don't know. I've told a lot of people they don't really care.
Okay. But you know, if they
might think it's kind of cool because they can't do it.
Yes. So they might think you're like a genius because they can't do it, but you can, right?
Yeah, but in reality, anyone can do it with practice.
Mm-hmm. And learning the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
So can you describe a little bit, like really short, of what the algorithm is?
An algorithm is basically a series of turns you have to memorize to do a specific goal.
Okay.
So if I wanted to switch 2 pieces in a place, then, like if I wanted to switch 2 of the top edges, then there's one algorithm that does that, and it switches their place.
Uh-huh. But do you just solve one side first and then do the other sides?
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Although there's the more advanced method that I use, you solve 2 sides at a time.
Okay.
I don't want to be too loud for this. It gets pretty loud. But yeah, look, you solve 2 sides at a time using some algorithms. Let's see if I can get an example. If I want to solve this part right here, there's an algorithm for that. And algorithms don't always do the same thing. So sometimes you might have to like do a left-hand version of the same algorithm.
Okay. And you said something important, which you have to know where you're starting and you have to know what your goal is, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then now it's solved. I know you guys can't see it, but
I was trying to not be loud. It gets pretty loud if I'm trying to go fast.
Right. But yeah, it's solved now. Okay. Because ever since you were like 6 or something, you've liked coding on computers, right? Like I have a picture of you in a little tank top when you're like 6 years old and your feet don't even reach the edge of the couch cushion and you have Dad's old laptop and you're like coding a snowman or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you write computer code, what is it that you like about writing computer code?
It's just creating something, achieving a goal.
Okay. What was I going to ask? It seemed like I had a good question about this, and now I can't remember what it was.
Is it about debugging?
I don't know. Do you have something to say about debugging?
I mean, I don't know if it relates to the topic.
Well, you can say it, and if it doesn't, then we'll cut it out.
Debugging is basically if you have a problem with your code or you need to fix it, then you have to figure out how to find it and take it out. Okay.
So is there a process of how you find the bug in the code?
Yeah, you could say there's an algorithm for it.
Okay.
First you figure out what's going wrong with the code. So if you're making a code to like, I don't know, my brain comes up with bad examples. If you're making a code to draw, I don't know, to give you bananas, but then it gives you an apple instead, then you'd know, oh, it's giving me apples instead of bananas. So then that's the first step. After that, you need to find the part of the code that makes it give you a banana.
Okay.
And then you have to figure out what's wrong with that. Mm-hmm. So maybe you wrote give apple instead of give banana, if it's really simple code. Or maybe if you're using numbers, then you just put in the wrong number and you have to fix it. Sometimes it's really annoying.
It's annoying, but does it help you solve the problem in the end?
Yes.
Yeah. But basically, how would you sum up algorithms?
It's basically, I don't know if you would call it simple, but it's a series of actions you do to achieve a goal.
Okay, good. I like that definition. I know that in the context I'm going to talk about it, and you're doing this all just off the top of your head, but for me, I've been thinking about it. And we talk about if-then. So when you write an algorithm, like if you're going to program our Roomba, which we never even use anymore, to vacuum, then it has a series of, if I bump into a wall, then I do this.
Yeah.
And if I encounter dirt, then I spin in a circle and clean extra. And if I hit the edge of a stair, then I stop and turn around. That kind of thing. Would you say that's an algorithm?
Yeah.
Okay. The Rubik's Cube is getting solved again. All right. But algorithms, the if and the then, can teach us to do things that we didn't realize that we could have done before, like solve a Rubik's Cube in 28 seconds, right?
Yeah, people might think it's complicated, but really you just need to learn the algorithm.
Mm-hmm. And follow the if this, then that, and then it's done pretty quick. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you. You're now allowed to eat your lunch.
Yay.
Thanks for being on. We'll have you back later.
Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about algorithms. I'm sure you've heard the term before, but how would you define an algorithm? The dictionary says it's a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. Professor Yuval Noah Harari says that algorithms are the most important concept of the 21st century. And he's a historian, so that's kind of interesting that that's his prediction for what's most important for our present and our future. He says, quote, "If we want to understand our life and our future, we should make every effort to understand what an algorithm is and how algorithms are connected with emotions," end quote. Yuval Noah Harari says that an algorithm is a methodical set of steps that can be used to make calculations, resolve problems, and reach decisions. No matter our profession or propensity toward math or computer programming, we all use algorithms all the time. If you measure something in inches and want to know how many centimeters it is, you multiply it by 2.54. That's an algorithm. If you want scrambled eggs, you crack the egg into the bowl, whisk, heat up a pan, pour it in, stir while it cooks. If I want to gain strength, I lift my weights, write down what I'm able to do, and then next time I lift just a little bit more and write it down and note how I felt. Get proper rest and then repeat. If I want to solve a Rubik's Cube, my algorithm is to try to get a few squares of the same color on the same side together, then watch as I have to move some out of place in order to get another one where I want it. If I were given a great deal of time, I could probably solve one side, but all the others would just be a jumble. This isn't because I'm stupid or a failure at life or lazy or oppressed by the man or whatever people like to blame things on these days. I just don't know the algorithm to solve it properly or quickly. I'm still using an algorithm, just not an effective one. But just a day or two of practice using upgraded algorithms, and my little Kip is a 23-second Rubik's Cube prodigy. Okay, prodigy is an over-exaggeration, but it's impressive to watch, and I think he deserves to be proud of it. Hey, quick question. Have you ever tried blue light filtering glasses yet? You probably know that the blue light coming out of all your screens can strain and possibly damage your eyes, so protecting your eyes is a good idea. I've tried a few different kinds of blue light filtering glasses over the years, but lately my eyes were physically aching after looking at screens, so I got a pair of glasses from iBuyDirect with Sight Relax lenses that are designed to relieve eye strain in addition to blocking blue light. They have a really subtle magnification at the bottom, which I wasn't sure I would like, but I really do. And the lenses are a lot more clear. I always felt like my other blue light lenses were never all the way clean. If you've never tried iBuy Direct, there's a link in the show notes for $10 off your first pair of glasses that you can use in addition to 15% off your first pair. They have great deals on prescription glasses and sunglasses in addition to blue light glasses, and they have so many different kinds of frames to choose from really conservative ones to really bold. My Sight Relax glasses look like tortoiseshell, but it's actually little flowers on the frame. Cute. Okay, back to the episode. Since we're all running off algorithms anyway, maybe it's time we get intentional about our unconscious programming. We've talked about Ray Dalio in the past. He's one of the wealthiest and most influential people on the planet, running the best performing hedge fund in the world. He says that, quote, "Your children and their peers must learn to speak the language of algorithms because it will soon be as important as any other language," end quote. The language of algorithms is the language of the future. It's an if-then language. A super common algorithm we can run is setting our thermostat. If the temperature dips below 69, then turn on the heat until it gets back to 69. If the temperature gets above 79, then turn on the air conditioning until it gets down below 79. We can set up that algorithm and never think about it again. It just runs in the background, keeping us comfortable. If, then. What algorithms are you currently running? I guarantee you have hundreds, if not thousands, that are already humming in the background on autopilot. If I wake up in the morning, then. If I need to go to the bathroom, then. If I feel thirst, then. If I get a push notification on my phone, then. If I feel fear, then. If someone cuts me off in traffic, then. If someone offers me a piece of birthday cake, then. If my child doesn't do what I asked, then. If someone is kind to me, then. It can go on and on and on. We don't consciously evaluate and make decisions about every second of our lives. And that's a good thing. We're meant to be efficient. But it kind of reminds me of that Peter Drucker quote that says, "There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not have been done at all." It's not quite the same context, but what if we became efficient using almost no energy to run awesome algorithms on autopilot? I think we'd end up looking like little prodigies, and it would be something to be genuinely proud of. But it's not because we lucked out or were blessed by a fairy godmother or whatever people tend to think about people who appear to have superhuman willpower. It's like my Rubik's Cube algorithm compared to my son's. We both have them, but a little bit of upfront work can install automatic and nearly effortless algorithms to run on autopilot. For Mother's Day this year, my husband signed me up for a women's self-defense jiu-jitsu class because he knows I love that kind of stuff. If I pass the test at the end, which isn't easy, I'll get a pink belt. Cute, huh? Jiu-jitsu is about the weak overpowering the strong. It's about the technique. At first, they kept explaining stuff to us as being so great because they would say, "It takes no energy to do this," or "It takes no strength to do this." And I was kind of like, I have energy and strength. I worked really hard for them. Thank you very much. How pathetic do they think I am? But then I gradually came to realize that the power of jiu-jitsu, or at least the situations I'm training for, is that I can incapacitate someone, even someone quite strong, without breaking a sweat. Sure, I have a reserve of power that I can deploy if the need arises, but the beauty is in the fact that I can overpower the attacker without having to exhaust myself. And that opens up so many more possibilities for what I can do with the energy and strength that I didn't have to use just to stay alive. Just by saying this, I'm realizing that every single thing I've ever learned in that class is just an algorithm. If you pin me on the ground with a knife to my throat, then I grab your hand with a cross-grip C-clamp and move to a certain pattern that ends with me tearing your rotator cuff. If you grab me from behind to carry me off to your creepy van, then I bend and grab in a certain pattern that ends with me hyperextending your knee. It's all about building muscle memory to be able to do it automatically when emotions are high, but it's all just algorithms. If this, then that. And the point I was trying to make is that just like if you heard that some bodybuilder guy attacked a woman with a knife and ended up with a dislocated shoulder and knee, you'd assume the woman was superhuman. But if you can live your life with algorithms humming in the background on autopilot that take no energy or strength at all, you'll appear to have superhuman willpower. And more importantly, you'll still have all of your energy and strength to put into something other than surviving the attacks of modern society. You'll be able to blow your own mind by doing things you never would have thought you'd be capable of. How cool is that? So, how do we know whether the algorithms we're running are any good? Well, if I got a Roomba vacuum, how would I know whether it was operating from an effective algorithm? If I walk through the kitchen in bare feet and a little Rubik's Cuber's Cheez-It crumbs stick to my feet, then I know there's a problem with the Roomba's operation. I know because it's not getting me the result I want, which is a clean floor. So we start with the result we want to create. What do I want? Is the byproduct of running my systems the achievement of my goal? Another thing to consider is if my Roomba successfully sucks up the Cheez-It crumbs, but then promptly falls down the stairs or dies before it can get back to its charging station, that's also a problem because it's not an easy or sustainable automatic program. Kipling talked about algorithms being a methodical set of steps you take to achieve a specific desired outcome. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what we want our algorithm to produce. What is our goal? It sounds easy and obvious, but I see this with people who want my help, quote, getting healthier. Awesome. I love those people. Thank you. I'm happy to do that. But what does that mean? How would you know whether you succeeded? If you use your fantastic new language skills to write algorithms because it's something you've seen your muscular neighbor do, or something a fitness influencer proselytizes, of course it's not going to be easy. It's not your fault. It's not because there's something wrong with you or you lack motivation. You're probably playing the wrong game. Your algorithm is not tied to creating a specific outcome that matters to you. You're not really sure what you're trying to do. It's really hard to hit a target if you don't know what it looks like or how far away it is or what direction the wind is blowing from or what tool you're using to launch your arrow. Coaching is a great way to figure out what really matters to you. It seems like it should be obvious, but oftentimes it's not. Or you feel like everything matters. That's exhausting, but also not true. I love watching as a client figures out not the, quote, right answer, but the true one. The deep felt sense of, yes, this is what I care about. Once you're clear, the awesome thing is that you can ignore all the other nonsense that's constantly popping up. You can let that swarm of shoulds fall away. The fog clears and it gives you so much more leverage. It's like your jujitsu cross grip C-clamp. You take firm and unyielding control of what really matters and still have all of your energy and strength available because you're not wearing yourself out trying to pay attention to everything that doesn't matter, or trying to show off how strong you are compared to someone else. Writing algorithms is the language of the future. It's what allows Teslas to drive themselves, and it's not slowing down. Algorithms decide what Facebook and YouTube ads you see and a bunch of other creepy stuff. Like, I'm sure there's artificial intelligence that could pick your ideal spouse or the ideal genes to pass to your baby. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that uses statistical techniques to progressively improve performance using data. If we pay attention, every minute of our life can give us data that we can use to improve. We can get better at what we're trying to achieve without having to be completely reprogrammed. It's about marginal gains, tiny improvements. I think this can be even more powerful than installing the algorithm in the first place. The sublime comes through the mundane. Once we know what it is we care about and are actually trying to do, making tiny adjustments based on the data is what wins the game. And I think it should be a game. One big, fun game. Algorithms might sound boring to you, maybe not, but it doesn't have to be heavy or serious. We can be playful with our design and see any problems as just bugs in the code, not moral failures or reasons for personal shame. Every operating system needs some debugging, at least I think. I don't know much about computer programming, but I think it's totally normal for there to be multiple iterations before things start to run smoothly. It's part of the process, so you can expect it and welcome it. don't begrudge your so-called negative data. It's the very thing that helps you spiral up. Have you thought of some of the algorithms that are already running on autopilot in your life? I wish we could sit around together and share what comes to mind for each of us. I am working on a free community that I think is going to be awesome, so check the show notes. I think I'll have it done by the time this publishes. It would be so awesome to hear from you. I wish I could hear some of your ideas that could help me, but here are a few of mine that I thought maybe might help you get your wheels turning. If I get frustrated, then I go, it's kind of like a Marge Simpson sound, but when I do that, it alerts me to slow down and think, okay, what do I want here and why? It shifts me out of just fuming into problem solving. Okay, I want there to not be pickle juice all over the floor. Okay, I want traffic to move faster. I want to not have to hear anyone eating potato chips. Sometimes I can do something about it, but even when I can't, just knowing the why can help me be more productive. Like, I want traffic to move faster so I can get home and relax. Okay, how can I relax now? Put on a comedy show in the car? Another one is if I feel nervous, then instead of trying to calm down, I say, I'm excited. That's part of a longer chat about using fear positively. Or if I sit down at my desk, then I set my movement timer for 17 minutes. If the timer goes off, then I at least stand up out of my chair. If I wake up on a Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday morning, then I put on my workout clothes and head to the gym. If it's the end of the week, then I do my weekly preview to plan out my upcoming week. One thing that has been super helpful for me lately is that I do this little nightly reflection at the end of every day. I've been doing it for a while. I write down several things like what was noteworthy today, one thing I did well, one thing that I didn't do well and needs work, one thing I'm going to be proud of in the future, an insight I had, 5 things I'm thankful for, so on. But I just added a why after the win and the loss of the day. And that has been super helpful in my machine learning process. Most of my positive whys are because I specifically and exactly scheduled it into my day. And most of my negative ones are because I ran out of time or it wasn't on the schedule. That's data I can use. It's helpful. I hope you're interested in learning the language of the future. Algorithms are kind of nerdy, but not as nerdy as Jawaese, droid speak, or Klingon. So I hope you'll think through how you can use your willpower strategically to install algorithms that make getting everything you ever wanted the natural byproduct of allowing your well-designed systems to run on autopilot. If you need someone to help you figure out the outcomes you're going for, the data you need to collect, or the algorithms you need to install, I'd love to be the one to help you create a plan that ensures that you're on the track you want to be on to stay strong and resilient for many decades to come. You can click the link in the show notes or go to healthcourage.ck/page/interest. Next week, we're going to talk about an important deficiency that you probably have, and so do I. Until then, speak the language of algorithms and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.